Hello everyone, so I just finished watching Tekken Bloodline. This is a brand new series, animated series anime on Netflix that is 6 episodes long, each episode around 25 minutes long, and of course it is an adaptation of the video game fighting franchise Tekken. So without further ado, let me get into my review for, of course, Tekken Bloodline. So when it comes to the video games, I did not know the lore of the story all too well. I have played a decent amount of time with them, but just literally doing the fighting, playing through some of the characters. So of course, seeing few of the characters from the games make their way into this, I was actually pretty hyped and excited to see, of course, just how the fray of these fighters was going to come in, and I expected the fights and everything to be absolutely dope and awesome and really, really fun, again, just to watch visually. Because, of course, an anime about a fighting franchise video game, you would assume that the fights would be super special and easily the driving force to get people to watch this anime. But this follows Jin Kazuma as his fights to become one of the best fighters in the King of the Iron Fist tournaments. There's a little more to that, but I don't really want to say a whole lot more just due to spoiler sake. But it brings in the supernatural elements of Tekken and, of course, too, just the tournaments, the Iron Fist tournaments, as well for all the fighters to go and jump in. But it mostly follows Jin and Mishima both training each other to take down Ogre, who's kind of the big bad of this season. And yeah, there's a few things that I could say about it, but I found that the overall story of this was really simple, but honestly pretty well done in terms of, again, just following Mishima and Jin's storyline, their struggle against one another in terms of trust, lying to one another, of course, becoming the ultimate fighters and winning this competition, using one another to get to both of their end goals by the end of this series. I found that part was really interesting. When it comes to a lot of the side characters, you do not get to know really anything about any of the fighters. There'll be maybe like a 10-15 second scene explaining the background of people like King, and that's basically all that they go into. You don't really get to know a whole lot about the characters. You just think, oh, they look cool, or oh, I remember that guy from the games, and that's all that you really get to know about them. So much of the plot lines feel so empty in terms of this first season, and it feels like so much was left missing from this season. I felt like this could have easily been a 10 to 13 episode series, could have flushed it out a lot more, actually had the tournaments, more fights, again, just give more of these side characters more individual stories, and this could have been something very, very awesome in terms of, again, just character driven stories with, again, just so many different motives coming into this tournament and actually learning fully why everyone is there the way they are, not just focusing on, of course, Jin and one other character, especially too when there's such a beloved franchise and beloved characters within it. When it comes to the fights themselves, I found that it was a lot of just fancy like lightning techniques that they had within the fights to make it look flashy, where of course, like the movements and everything are good. It definitely felt like you were watching two people play the video game sometimes, just with like the stagnant movements, like things I can't really think of the word to do it, but when you're actually inputting it, it's just kind of how it doesn't look super smooth on the video games some of the times. That's kind of how it looked here. The moves and whatnot were sweet, and I found actually the sound design, the music's killer. The soundtrack is awesome in this, but the sound design, sound effects, and whatnots were actually really good. The movements were cool. The moves were sweet, but I found a lot of the times that they used like these really weird slow-mo scenes where I felt like if the movements were faster and some of the fight scenes were longer, they could have been so much better. Again, what they were doing with it was sweet, moved straight out of the video games, which was really, really fun to see. And definitely too, they made use of the environment and all of the rings, which I really, really liked. But again, just a lot of the times I felt these slow-mo scenes and just to some of the pacing of the fight scenes were just way too slow to be super enjoyable, especially too for something based off of Tekken. I felt like they need to be a lot faster, a lot smoother to really hold the interest. A lot of times it's just, again, these crazy lightning and lighting effects that go on that pique your interest a little bit more instead of the actual movements themselves. There's a decent amount of fights. There's, I want to say, like a couple per episode, which was really, really nice to see. Again, that's what everyone's here for when it comes to the Tekken story, but again, there's a lot that feels like was left out in this. It felt like it needed to be, again, a lot longer than just the 6 episodes. For what they were able to do with 6, it was pretty solid. And again, just the main storyline of Jin was something pretty damn good in all honesty, and it does have me excited for a second season. I hope that this actually gets a second season and get the treatment Netflix gave a show like Dragon Dogma when it comes to video game anime adaptation. So I'm really hoping that we do get to see more. But with everything taken together, this was a solid series. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Just felt like, again, there needed to be more, and hopefully they do get to explore more and actually have like a full-fledged tournament the next time around. I'm not certain if we'll get there, because again, too, I don't really know the storyline of Tekken 2 too much. I just know the fighters. But I feel like with a bit more of a budget and some time, this can be one of the better Netflix anime series based off of video games or just any of their anime series that they put out. So I do hope that we get to see more. But if you've seen Tekken Bloodline on Netflix, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. And of course, if you like this review, definitely give it a thumbs up. And you can check out everything I do on this channel through a playlist down below, and I'll link them up top here for convenience sake. Thank you for subscribing and turn that little ringer on so you know when I upload new videos. If you want to check out everything I do on my Discord, which you'll find in the description of this video on my channel bio. That is the Media Mountain, where we talk about movies, video games, comic books, TV, anime, pretty much everything that's awesome in this world. So you can definitely join that amazing community. I'll make it even more amazing than it is already. And yeah, just awesome, guys.
Sky blue eyes, I see a world behind them. No more time sinking into the silence.